Chosen one, listen closely, because what I'm about to reveal isn't just important, it's divinely urgent. If you're hearing these words right now, it's not by chance or coincidence. Your spirit was guided here at this exact moment because a profound cosmic alignment is taking place in your life. The veil between you and your divine purpose has never been thinner. You've felt it, haven't you? That unexplainable stirring in your soul, that sense that something monumental is about to unfold in your life. The feeling of being watched over, guided, and protected, even when everything around you seemed to be falling apart. These weren't random feelings. They were divine whispers, preparing you for this moment of revelation. For too long, you've walked a path that felt uncertain. You've questioned why certain doors remained closed while others unexpectedly opened. You've wondered why you see patterns, signs, and connections that others around you seem blind to. You've carried a weight of spiritual knowing that sometimes felt too heavy to bear. But what if everything you've experienced was precisely orchestrated to prepare you for what's coming next? Your life is about to undergo a sacred transformation that will connect every seemingly random experience into a perfect divine pattern. The confusion ends today. The waiting season is over. The heavens are declaring that it's time for your divine purpose to awaken. In the next 15 minutes, you will receive clarity about who you truly are and why you were created for such a time as this. This revelation will unlock spiritual gifts that have remained dormant within you until now. Before we dive into this life-altering message, do these 3 things immediately. Hit that like button to align your energy with this divine transmission. Subscribe to join our sacred community as we move toward 10,000 chosen vessels. Leave a comment with the number 777 to signal to the universe that you are ready to receive this divine activation. If you're truly a chosen one, you'll stay until the end, because deep in your spirit, you already know this message was meant specifically for you. The question is, are you ready to embrace the divine purpose that's been waiting for you since before you took your first breaths? Let's begin your spiritual awakening. Section 1. The Divine Recognition. From the moment your soul entered this earthly realm, you carried a divine mark that set you apart. This isn't something that can be seen with physical eyes, but it's something that has been felt throughout your entire life. Haven't you always sensed that there was something different about you? The way you perceive the world, the depth of your empathy, the intuitive knowing that seems to guide you even when logic says otherwise. These aren't coincidences or random personality traits. They are the sacred signatures of a chosen vessel. You see, God doesn't select his chosen ones randomly. He looks for specific spiritual qualities that can withstand the weight of divine purpose. And you have been carrying these qualities since childhood, often without even realizing their significance. Think back to those moments when you felt deeply moved by suffering that others seemed to overlook. Remember those times when you somehow knew things before they happened. Recall those instances when strangers were inexplicably drawn to share their deepest struggles with you. These weren't burdens, they were confirmations of your chosen status. For many are called, but few are chosen. This ancient wisdom speaks directly to your experience. Many walk this earth with spiritual potential, but only a select few are spiritually sensitive enough to recognize and respond to the divine calling upon their lives. You've often wondered why you couldn't simply conform to the patterns of this world, why you couldn't find satisfaction in the things that seem to fulfill others, why something within you has always yearned for deeper meaning, greater purpose, more authentic truth. The answer is both simple and profound. You were designed for divine appointment. Just as a masterfully crafted instrument can detect frequencies that ordinary objects cannot perceive, your spirit was fashioned to resonate with heavenly frequencies that others simply cannot detect. This spiritual sensitivity has often made you feel out of place in a world that celebrates the superficial and temporary. Have you ever found yourself in a room full of people yet feeling profoundly alone? Have you ever sensed darkness or light in environments that others seemed oblivious to? Have you carried burdens that weren't yours to carry, feeling the weight of collective pain that others couldn't seem to see? These experiences haven't been punishments. They've been preparation. Every tear you've shed for others, every night you've spent in spiritual wrestling, every moment of feeling misunderstood or overlooked, they have all been shaping your spirit for this divine moment of recognition and activation. In biblical times, chosen vessels like Samuel heard divine voices while others slept. Joseph dreamed prophetic dreams that others could not interpret. David perceived divine strategies that seasoned warriors could not see. And now you stand in this sacred lineage of those who perceive what others cannot. The sensitivity that has sometimes felt like a curse is actually your greatest blessing. The depth that has occasionally made you feel out of step with a shallow world is actually your greatest strength. The spiritual awareness that has periodically left you feeling isolated is actually your greatest gift. It's time to embrace this truth. You are not just anyone. You are a chosen one. Your spiritual DNA carries codes of divine wisdom, supernatural perception, and heavenly authority that are now being activated within you. The very experiences that have caused you to question your place in this world are the exact experiences that have qualified you for your divine assignment. Just as the prophet Jeremiah was told, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you before you were born. I set you apart." Your divine recognition was established long before your first breath on this earth. Consider the story of Gideon in the book of Judges. When the angel of the Lord appeared to him, Gideon was hiding in fear, threshing wheat in a winepress. Yet the angel addressed him as a mighty warrior. The divine saw beyond Gideon's current circumstances to his true spiritual identity. Like Gideon, you may have been living beneath your true spiritual identity, but heaven sees the warrior, the healer, the prophet, the teacher that lies within you. What if your moments of greatest weakness have actually been showcasing your greatest spiritual strength? What if your deepest wounds have been creating space for your most powerful healing abilities? What if your seasons of isolation have been divine protection, preserving you for this moment of revelation? Take a deep breath and allow this truth to penetrate your spirit. The divine recognition you've been waiting for is here. The confirmation you've been seeking is now. The spiritual identity you've been questioning is being revealed. You are not just spiritually aware. You are spiritually appointed. You are not just divinely sensitive. You are divinely selected. You are not just randomly gifted. You are purposefully chosen. And now everything is about to change as you step into the fullness of your divine recognition. Section 2. The Sacred Preparation. Your journey as a chosen one hasn't been easy. You've walked through valleys so deep that at times you wondered if you'd ever see the light again. You've faced trials that tested not just your faith, but the very essence of who you are. These weren't random hardships. They were divine preparation. Every tear you've shed, every disappointment you've endured, every moment of feeling abandoned or forgotten, They were all part of a sacred refining process designed specifically for you. Do you think it's coincidence that gold must pass through fire before it reveals its true brilliance? Do you believe it's random that diamonds are formed under intense pressure? Your struggles haven't been punishment. They've been purification. Many are the afflictions of the righteous. This ancient wisdom wasn't meant to discourage you, but to prepare you for the weight of glory that was always your destiny. The intensity of your trials directly corresponds to the magnitude of your calling. When Joseph was thrown into a pit by his brothers, it wasn't the end of his story. It was preparation for his palace assignment. When David faced Goliath in the valley, it wasn't a random battle. It was preparation for his throne. When Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness, it wasn't wasted time. It was preparation for his Exodus mission. Your story follows this same divine pattern. Those moments when you felt most alone, God was actually separating you for divine purpose. Those seasons when others seemed to advance while you remained still, heaven was actually developing your spiritual roots. Those painful experiences that left you questioning everything, the divine was actually building your spiritual capacity. What if the very experiences that made you question your worth were actually increasing your spiritual value? What if the delays that frustrated you were actually divine timing, protecting you from premature exposure? What if the relationships that wounded you were actually strengthening your capacity to heal others? Within you lie dormant spiritual gifts waiting to be activated, gifts of spiritual discernment that will allow you to see what others cannot see, gifts of divine wisdom that will provide solutions where others see only problems, gifts of supernatural healing that will restore what the enemy has stolen. These gifts weren't randomly assigned to you. They were strategically planted within your spirit based on the divine assignment you were created to fulfill. Consider how a master craftsman carefully selects specific tools for specific purposes. The hammer isn't better than the chisel. They simply serve different functions. Your unique combination of spiritual gifts wasn't a cosmic accident. It was a heavenly design. Throughout your life, you've experienced moments of supernatural knowing, flashes of spiritual insight, instances of unexplainable peace amidst chaos. These weren't coincidences. They were glimpses of your true spiritual identity being revealed. The preparation you've undergone has been comprehensive, touching every area of your life. Your mind has been renewed through challenges that forced you to think differently. Your heart has been expanded through sufferings that deepened your capacity for compassion. Your spirit has been strengthened through battles that taught you to stand when others would fall. This holy preparation hasn't been random or cruel. It has been purposeful and precise. Just as an eagle stirs its nest to teach its young to fly, the divine has stirred your comfortable places to activate your spiritual wings. The discomfort wasn't to harm you, but to elevate you to heights you could never reach without being pushed from the nest. Your preparation season has aligned you with a sacred timeline that extends far beyond your individual life. You stand in a prophetic lineage of chosen vessels who were prepared in obscurity before being revealed in their appointed time. Moses spent 40 years in Midian, tending sheep before encountering the burning bush. During those seemingly wasted decades, he was learning the very wilderness that would later sustain 2 million Israelites. Joseph endured 13 years of slavery and imprisonment before his elevation to Prime Minister of Egypt. Those years of injustice were actually preparing him to save nations from famine. David waited 15 years between his anointing and his coronation, learning warfare and leadership while hiding in caves. Consider the modern example of Nick Vujicic, born without arms or legs, who spent years wrestling with depression and feelings of worthlessness. That painful preparation equipped him to become a worldwide minister of hope who has touched millions of lives. Or think of Corrie ten Boom, whose years in a Nazi concentration camp became the foundation for a global ministry of forgiveness and healing. Even Jesus himself had 30 years of preparation before 3 years of public ministry. Your preparation hasn't been a detour. It's been the exact path needed to equip you for your divine moment. Now, after all you've endured and overcome, after all the refining fires and crushing pressures, after all the midnight tears and silent battles, your preparation is reaching its culmination. The gold within you has been purified. The diamond of your spirit has been formed. The vessel of your life has been shaped on the potter's wheel. And now you stand at the threshold of divine purpose, prepared for what comes next. Section 3. The Divine Elevation. There is a cosmic shift happening in your spiritual atmosphere right now. Can you feel it? That unexplainable stirring in your spirit. That sense of anticipation that something profound is about to unfold. That inner knowing that you're standing at the edge of a divine threshold. This isn't imagination. It isn't wishful thinking. It's a spiritual reality that's being orchestrated in the heavenly realms on your behalf. For too long, you've walked with your spiritual eyes partially closed, catching only glimpses of your true authority. But now the veil is being lifted. The spiritual blindness that has limited your vision is being removed, and you're beginning to see with supernatural clarity the elevation that awaits you. This elevation isn't about worldly status or material gain. It's about spiritual authority, the divine power to speak and see manifestation, to declare and witness creation, to stand against darkness and watch it flee. This is the authority that Jesus referred to when he said, "I give unto you power to tread on serpents and scorpions, and over all the power of the enemy." Consider the biblical account in Daniel chapter 3, where Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego stood in such divine elevation that they were untouched by the flames of Nebuchadnezzar's furnace. Their authority wasn't from earthly position, but from spiritual alignment that allowed them to declare, "Our God is able to deliver us. But even if he does not, we will not serve your gods." That's elevation that transforms circumstances rather than being defined by them. In our own time, we've witnessed ordinary people step into extraordinary spiritual authority. Think of Mother Teresa, who had no wealth or political power, yet carried such spiritual authority that world leaders sought her counsel. Or consider Desmond Tutu, whose spiritual elevation enabled him to stand against the overwhelming darkness of apartheid with a peace and authority that transcended his physical circumstances. What if the battles you've faced weren't just tests, but training grounds for the authority you're now stepping into? What if the spiritual resistance you've encountered wasn't meant to defeat you, but to develop the spiritual muscles you'll need for this new level? Look around you. Are you noticing divine synchronicities appearing with increasing frequency, numbers that repeatedly catch your attention? Names or phrases that seem to follow you? Dreams that feel more prophetic than random? These aren't coincidences. They are sacred signposts pointing to your elevation. The spiritual atmosphere around you is becoming charged with divine possibility. Doors that remained stubbornly closed are suddenly swinging open. People who couldn't perceive your value are beginning to recognize your worth. Opportunities that seemed beyond reach are appearing within your grasp. This elevation comes with new spiritual connections, being divinely orchestrated in your life. Pay attention to those who are suddenly drawn to you. These aren't random encounters. They are strategic alignments being arranged by divine hands. Just as Ruth needed Boaz to fulfill her destiny, just as David needed Jonathan to preserve his purpose, just as Paul needed Barnabas to launch his ministry. You need specific divine connections to fully step into your elevated position. And right now, these connections are being supernaturally arranged. The elevation you're experiencing is also activating dormant spiritual gifts within you that heightened spiritual sensitivity, that deeper level of discernment, that increased accuracy in your spiritual perception. These are all signs that your spiritual DNA is being fully activated. You're beginning to operate in a level of spiritual wisdom that surpasses human understanding. Solutions are coming to you that can't be explained by logic alone. Insights are flowing through you that seem to bypass your natural mind. Divine strategies are being downloaded into your spirit with increasing clarity. This is what it means to be seated in heavenly places, to see from a divine perspective rather than a merely human one. Your elevation is shifting your entire viewpoint, allowing you to perceive situations from heaven's vantage point rather than Earth's limited perspective. The spiritual weight you've carried is being transformed into glory. The burden is becoming a mantle. The pressure is producing authority. What once felt heavy on your shoulders is now becoming a crown upon your head. Your days of spiritual obscurity are ending. The divine is bringing you out of the shadows and into a place of spiritual visibility where your light can no longer be hidden. The scripture declares, "A city set on a hill cannot be hidden." And you, chosen one, are being positioned as that city. This elevation isn't something you need to strive for or earn. It's a divine decree already established in the heavenly realms. Your part is simply to recognize it, receive it, and walk confidently in it. The enemy has worked tirelessly to keep you from recognizing your true spiritual position. He's used doubt, fear, and unworthiness to blind you to your elevated status. But that deception is being shattered as you awaken to this truth. You were always meant to walk in divine elevation. Stand tall, chosen one. Lift your head, square your shoulders. The heavens are opening over your life. The spiritual atmosphere is shifting around you, and the divine elevation you've been prepared for is now manifesting in your reality. Section 4, the spiritual releasing. Before you can fully step into your divine purpose, there must be a spiritual releasing, a sacred letting go of everything that has held you captive. This releasing isn't just important. It's essential for your spiritual advancement. For too long, you've carried burdens that were never yours to bear, limiting beliefs that were spoken over you, generational patterns that were passed down to you, soul ties that have drained your spiritual energy, false identities that have masked your true essence. These aren't just emotional or psychological challenges, they are spiritual blockages that have hindered the full expression of your divine purpose. The time has come to release them all. Some of these blockages were placed in your path by the enemy who recognized your chosen status long before you did. Other blockages formed through wounds inflicted by those who should have protected you. Still others were self-created through moments of fear, doubt, or misunderstanding. But their source doesn't matter anymore. What matters is that your freedom has been divinely decreed. For whom the Son sets free is free indeed. This isn't just a spiritual concept. It's a present reality that's manifesting in your life right now. The chains that have bound you are being shattered. The walls that have confined you are crumbling. The limitations that have defined you are being removed. Take a deep breath. Can you feel it? That sensation of lightness, that lifting of invisible weight, that sense of expanded possibility. This is what true spiritual releasing feels like. At the core of this releasing process is forgiveness, the most powerful spiritual act available to you. There are people who wounded you so deeply that you believed you could never forgive them. There are circumstances that hurt you so profoundly that you thought you'd never heal. But what if forgiveness isn't about them at all? What if it's actually about liberating yourself from the prison of resentment? What if forgiveness is actually the most powerful form of self-love you can practice? The scriptures reveal this truth through Joseph's story in Genesis. After being sold into slavery by his own brothers, enduring false accusation and imprisonment, Joseph had every human right to seek revenge when his brothers stood powerless before him, years later. Instead, he spoke these remarkable words, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." His release through forgiveness positioned him for his divine purpose. Consider the modern example of Immaculée Ilibagiza, who survived the Rwandan genocide by hiding in a tiny bathroom with 7 other women for 91 days. She lost most of her family to the brutal killings, yet discovered that her hatred was a heavier burden than her grief. Through forgiveness, she found freedom and her divine purpose as a messenger of peace. Today, her story of spiritual releasing has inspired millions worldwide. The divine is calling you to release through forgiveness, not because those who hurt you deserve it, but because you deserve to be free from carrying the toxic weight of unforgiveness. This isn't about minimizing your pain, it's about maximizing your power. With every person you forgive, another chain falls away. With every wound you release, another door opens. With every grudge you let go, another blessing flows. This is spiritual mathematics. What you release creates space for what heaven wants to give you. There are also generational patterns that have followed your family line for decades, perhaps even centuries, patterns of lack, fear, addiction, failure, or broken relationships. These aren't just habits or tendencies, they are spiritual inheritances that can be broken through divine authority. You stand at a pivotal point in your generational line. Through you, the divine is establishing a new spiritual legacy that will flow to future generations. The patterns stop here. The curses end now. The dysfunctional cycles are being broken in your lifetime. This releasing extends to false identities as well, those labels and limitations you've accepted as truth about yourself. I'm not good enough. I'll always struggle. I don't deserve abundance. My dreams are too big. These aren't just negative thoughts. They are spiritual deceptions designed to keep you from your true identity. It's time to surrender these false identities to make way for your authentic spiritual self to emerge. Like a butterfly struggling to break free from its chrysalis, you've been fighting to emerge from the confining identities that no longer serve your divine purpose. The struggle ends today. As you release these spiritual blockages, you're also creating sacred space for your divine assignment. Nature abhors a vacuum. What you release will be replaced. The emotional energy you've expended on pain can now be channeled into purpose. The mental focus you've used to relive the past can now be directed toward your divine future. This spiritual releasing isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing process of surrendering to divine guidance, letting go of what no longer serves you, and making room for what God is bringing into your life. With every passing day, you'll feel lighter, clearer, and more aligned with your true spiritual identity. The releasing is making way for the receiving. The surrender is creating space for the supernatural. The letting go is preparing you for the divine taking hold. And as you continue this sacred process of spiritual releasing, you'll discover that what awaits you is far greater than anything you've left behind. Section 5. the sacred alignment. Now that you've been recognized, prepared, elevated, and released, it's time to step into sacred alignment with your divine purpose. This alignment isn't just a spiritual concept, it's a practical process that will anchor you firmly in your divine calling. True alignment begins with divine surrender. Not a weak yielding from fear, but a powerful yielding from trust. When you surrender to divine guidance, you're not giving up control. You're exchanging your limited perspective for infinite wisdom. This surrender creates a sacred partnership between your will and divine will, where you learn to move in perfect spiritual synchronization with heavenly timing. Like a dancer who follows the subtle cues of their partner, you'll learn to sense and respond to the gentle leadings of the Spirit. Have you noticed that when you're truly aligned, life seems to flow with remarkable ease? Doors open without struggle. Resources appear at just the right moment. Divine connections form naturally. This isn't coincidence, it's the supernatural result of sacred alignment. The Chosen One understands that alignment requires daily spiritual disciplines that keep your spirit attuned to heavenly frequencies. These aren't religious rituals performed from obligation. They are sacred practices that maintain your divine connection. We see this pattern of alignment in Daniel's life, who despite being in Babylon's captivity, maintained his sacred alignment by kneeling 3 times daily in prayer toward Jerusalem. Even facing the lion's den couldn't deter him from this divine connection. His alignment wasn't just devotion, it was his source of supernatural wisdom and divine protection. Consider also the modern testimony of Howard Thurman, the great spiritual advisor to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Thurman maintained a discipline of sacred silence for 2 hours every morning before dawn. From this alignment flowed the spiritual wisdom that helped guide the civil rights movement. Or think of Brother Lawrence, who practiced the presence of God while washing dishes in a monastery kitchen, demonstrating that divine alignment can transform even the most mundane activities into sacred encounters, moments of stillness where you quiet your mind to hear divine whispers, times of meditation on sacred truths that transform your thinking, periods of prayer that aren't just talking at God, but communing with the divine. These practices aren't optional for the Chosen One. They are essential. What if these daily spiritual practices aren't just religious activities, but actually the most practical way to stay aligned with your purpose? What if your moments of meditation aren't wasted time, but the most productive minutes of your day? When you're in sacred alignment, you begin to recognize divine synchronicities, those moments when heaven and earth seem to coordinate perfectly on your behalf. The right person appears at precisely the right moment. A message comes exactly when you needed guidance. A door opens just as you were preparing to knock. These aren't random coincidences. They are confirmation that you're walking in alignment with divine timing. They are sacred signposts that reassure you that you're on the right path, even when that path doesn't make logical sense to those around you. Part of maintaining this alignment is developing spiritual resilience, the ability to remain connected to your purpose even when facing opposition, because make no mistake, when you step into divine alignment, you will encounter resistance. The enemy doesn't attack what isn't a threat. The opposition you face is often validation of your chosen status. But here's the truth. You weren't chosen because the path would be easy. You were chosen because you have the spiritual fortitude to remain aligned even when the winds of adversity blow against you. Like a tree with deep roots, you may bend in the storm, but you will not break. Your alignment is further strengthened through sacred declaration, speaking truth over your life, that aligns with your divine identity. Your words carry spiritual power. When you declare what heaven says about you, you're literally co-creating your reality with the divine. I am divinely chosen. I walk in supernatural favor. Divine wisdom guides my every decision. Abundance flows to me effortlessly. These aren't just positive affirmations. They are spiritual decrees that align your spoken words with heavenly truth. As you continue in this sacred alignment, you'll discover that your spiritual authority increases. Your prayers become more powerful. Your discernment grows sharper. Your impact expands further. This is the natural progression of a life in divine alignment. The ultimate expression of this alignment is found in your divine assignment, the unique kingdom work you were created to accomplish. This isn't just a career or a ministry. It's the specific spiritual territory you've been assigned to influence, transform, and reclaim. Some are called to bring healing to broken systems, others to restore justice where corruption has reigned. Still others to create beauty that reflects divine glory. Your assignment is as unique as your spiritual fingerprint, yet it connects perfectly with the larger divine plan. When you're walking in sacred alignment, you don't need to strive to fulfill your assignment. You simply need to remain connected, surrendered, and obedient. The divine flow will carry you forward with a momentum that cannot be stopped by human opposition. This is the power of sacred alignment. This is the peace of divine partnership. This is the privilege of the chosen one, who walks in step with heavenly purpose. Section 6. The Chosen Community. As a chosen one, you are part of a sacred collective, a divine community of souls who have been selected for specific purposes in this pivotal time. Though you've often felt isolated on your journey, the truth is that you are never alone. You are connected to an invisible spiritual family that transcends physical boundaries. This chosen community isn't formed through human organization or religious affiliation. It's established through divine selection, souls handpicked by the Creator for their unique spiritual qualities and divine assignments. The book of Ephesians illuminates this truth, describing how we were chosen in Him before the foundation of the world. This divine selection transcends time itself. The body of Christ isn't just a metaphor. It's a spiritual reality where each member has a specific function essential to the whole. Consider how Elijah felt utterly alone in his stand for truth, crying out that he was the only one left who hadn't bowed to Baal. God's response was profound. I have reserved 7,000 in Israel, all whose knees have not bowed to Baal. Your chosen community exists even when you cannot see them. We witness this divine community connection in modern times as well. Think of the Prayer of Jabez movement that unexpectedly connected millions of believers worldwide through a single obscure prayer from Chronicles. Or consider how believers in underground churches across restricted nations somehow maintain spiritual connection despite never meeting physically. Throughout history, chosen vessels have recognized one another through spiritual resonance, that unexplainable connection you feel when you encounter someone walking the same divine path. Have you experienced this? That immediate knowing, that soul recognition, that sense of finding a spiritual sibling you didn't know existed. These connections aren't random. They are divinely orchestrated to strengthen your resolve, expand your understanding, and support your purpose. Just as iron sharpens iron, chosen ones are meant to refine and strengthen one another. What if the people who most deeply understand your journey are already being aligned to cross your path? What if divine connections are being formed right now that will play crucial roles in your purpose? What if your spiritual tribe is being assembled even as you listen to these words? You can recognize others in the chosen community through specific spiritual markers. They carry a certain light in their eyes that speaks of inner knowing. They possess a depth that isn't found in casual spiritual seekers. They demonstrate resilience forged through sacred trials. They exhibit wisdom that transcends their years or education. When you encounter such souls, honor these connections. They aren't accidental. They are appointed. Each brings a specific piece to your divine puzzle, a unique perspective to your spiritual understanding, a critical resource for your kingdom assignment. Within this chosen community, you have a sacred responsibility that extends beyond your individual purpose. You are called to uplift, strengthen, and occasionally challenge those who share this journey. You are positioned to be both student and teacher, both receiver and giver, both the one who needs and the one who provides. The wisdom you've gained through your trials wasn't meant for you alone. The insights you've received in your darkest moments weren't just for your personal growth. The spiritual gifts you've been given weren't intended solely for your benefit. They were entrusted to you for the collective elevation of the chosen community. Think of how Jonathan strengthened David's hand in God during his wilderness season. How Ruth's loyalty to Naomi preserved a divine lineage. How Barnabas advocated for Paul when others doubted his transformation. These biblical examples illustrate the power of spiritual connection within the chosen community. Your role within this sacred collective carries generational impact. The spiritual legacy you establish won't end with your lifetime. It will flow to future generations, creating pathways of blessing for those who will come after you. This isn't just about your purpose, it's about your spiritual posterity. The choices you make today, the spiritual territories you reclaim, the divine wisdom you embody, these create inheritance for chosen ones who haven't yet been born. You are literally shaping the spiritual landscape that future generations will inhabit. This chosen community also receives special divine protection. Have you noticed that despite the intensity of your trials, something has always preserved you at the critical moment? Some unexplainable intervention, some timely provision, some supernatural shield that prevented your destruction. This isn't coincidence. It's covenant protection, the divine safeguarding promised to those who carry kingdom purpose. Not protection from every hardship, but preservation through every trial. Not immunity from suffering, but supernatural resilience that enables you to overcome. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. This ancient promise remains active over the chosen community. The enemy may attack, but he cannot prevail. Obstacles may arise, but they cannot ultimately succeed. Darkness may temporarily surround you, but it cannot permanently overcome you. As you step fully into your identity as part of this chosen community, embrace both the privileges and responsibilities it brings. Connect authentically with other chosen ones. Share your spiritual wisdom freely. Receive support humbly. Stand in the gap courageously. Protect the vulnerable relentlessly. For in this sacred collective you find your spiritual family, those who see your true essence, honor your divine calling, strengthen your spiritual resolve, and walk alongside you in fulfilling heaven's purposes on earth. Section 7. The Kingdom Manifestation. The ultimate purpose of your divine selection is kingdom manifestation, bringing heaven's reality into earthly experience. This isn't just spiritual theory or religious concept, it's the practical outworking of your divine purpose in tangible, visible ways, on earth as it is in heaven. These words aren't just a prayer, they're a divine commission given to every chosen one. You are literally a gateway through which heavenly realities enter this physical dimension. Through your life, your words, your actions, and your very presence, the invisible becomes visible. The spiritual becomes tangible. The divine becomes accessible. This manifestation begins with spiritual abundance, a flow of divine provision that defies natural limitations. This isn't just about financial prosperity, though. That may be part of it. It's about a comprehensive abundance that touches every area of your life. Abundance of peace when chaos surrounds others. Abundance of wisdom when confusion clouds other minds. Abundance of strength when others falter. Abundance of creativity when others face blockages. Abundance of love when others experience rejection. This is the multifaceted nature of kingdom abundance. Have you begun to notice supernatural provision appearing in your life? Resources arriving from unexpected sources, opportunities emerging without your striving, doors opening that you didn't even knock on. These aren't coincidences. They are manifestations of the kingdom principle. Seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. What if the abundance you're beginning to experience isn't just for your benefit, but for kingdom advancement? What if the resources flowing to you are actually flowing through you to fulfill divine purposes that extend far beyond your personal comfort? This understanding introduces the sacred concept of spiritual stewardship, the divine wisdom to manage kingdom resources with heavenly perspective. You aren't just a recipient of abundance. You're a channel through which it flows. You aren't just blessed. You're empowered to be a blessing. The resources coming into your possession, whether material wealth, influential relationships, platforms of authority, or specialized knowledge, all carry divine purpose. They aren't random benefits, but strategic tools for kingdom manifestation. How you steward these resources determines the level of kingdom impact you'll achieve. When you align your decisions with divine wisdom, even small resources produce exponential results. When you prioritize kingdom advancement over personal gain, heaven's economy operates at supernatural efficiency through your life. Another dimension of kingdom manifestation is territorial influence, the spiritual authority to transform the atmospheres and environments you enter. Have you noticed that your presence can change the energy of a room? That your words can shift the direction of a conversation? That your decision to stand firm can establish boundaries against negative forces? We see this territorial influence demonstrated powerfully in the book of Acts, when Paul and Silas were imprisoned in Philippi. Rather than being defined by their chains, they began praying and singing hymns at midnight. Their spiritual authority was so potent that it transformed the prison atmosphere, culminating in an earthquake that broke everyone's chains. Their influence wasn't limited to their physical freedom. It extended to the entire territorial atmosphere. In our time, consider the story of the transformation of Almolonga, Guatemala, once known as a place of alcoholism, violence, and spiritual darkness. Through the persistent prayers and divine authority of a small group of believers, the entire region was transformed. Today, it's known as the Valley of Miracles, with dramatically reduced crime rates, economic prosperity, and spiritual vibrancy that attracts visitors from around the world seeking to understand this territorial transformation. This isn't imagination. It's your spiritual authority manifesting. The chosen one carries an atmospheric influence that extends beyond physical presence. You literally bring heaven's reality into earthly spaces. Some are called to influence educational systems, bringing divine wisdom into places of learning. Others to transform business cultures, establishing kingdom integrity in marketplaces. Still others to impact entertainment, healthcare, government, or family structures. Your specific sphere of influence is uniquely yours, yet it connects to the larger kingdom expansion. Perhaps the most powerful aspect of kingdom manifestation is divine reconciliation, the supernatural ability to restore what's been broken, heal what's been wounded, and reunite what's been separated. This reconciling power operates through your life as you allow heaven's healing to flow through your words, actions, and very presence. Broken relationships restored to wholeness, wounded hearts returned to health, divided communities brought back to unity. This reconciling work might seem impossible through human effort alone, and it is, but through a vessel aligned with divine purpose, the miraculous becomes attainable. As kingdom manifestation increases through your life, you'll notice tangible evidence of spiritual reality becoming increasingly visible. Prayers answered with undeniable precision, divine interventions occurring with supernatural timing, transformation happening at accelerated rates. These are the hallmarks of a life that has become a portal for heaven's reality. This manifestation isn't about creating a spiritual spectacle or drawing attention to yourself. It's about establishing heaven's principles so firmly in earthly reality that they become the new normal. It's about making the extraordinary commonplace and the supernatural natural. This is your divine calling as a chosen one to manifest kingdom reality in such a compelling way that others are drawn not to you, but to the source of the light that shines through you. Chosen one, your divine journey has now been fully revealed to you. The sacred truths you've received today weren't meant just to inspire you. They were meant to transform you. You've come to understand that your divine recognition wasn't random, but purposeful. Your sacred preparation wasn't punishment, but perfection. Your spiritual elevation wasn't prideful, but predestined. Your releasing wasn't loss, but liberation. Your alignment wasn't restrictive, but empowering. Your chosen community wasn't accidental, but appointed. And your kingdom manifestation isn't just possible, it's inevitable. Now, as you stand at this divine threshold, there is only one question that remains. Will you step forward into everything you've been shown? This isn't a moment for hesitation. This isn't a time for doubt. This is your divine appointment with destiny, the very purpose for which you were created and placed on this earth at this specific moment in history. From this moment forward, you will never again question your worth, your purpose, or your divine selection. You will never again shrink back from your spiritual authority or minimize your heavenly assignment. You will never again allow the opinions of those who cannot see your true identity to define your spiritual reality. You are chosen. You are appointed. You are anointed for such a time as this. The heavens are open above you. Divine favor surrounds you. Supernatural provision follows you. Kingdom purpose guides you. And nothing can prevent the fulfillment of what has been divinely decreed over your life. As we conclude this sacred revelation, I want you to place your hand over your heart and receive this final blessing, inspired by the priestly blessing from the Book of Numbers. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. May your eyes be open to see the divine opportunities that surround you, just as Elisha prayed for his servant's eyes to be opened, to see the heavenly armies on the surrounding hills, may your mind be clear to receive heavenly wisdom. Like Solomon, who asked not for wealth but for discernment. May your heart be pure to discern kingdom purposes as David, who was a man after God's own heart. May your hands be strong to accomplish supernatural assignments like Nehemiah, rebuilding Jerusalem's walls, and may your life become a living testimony of what happens when a chosen one fully embraces their divine calling. Just as Esther realized she had come to the kingdom for such a time as this. If this message has awakened something within your spirit, do these 3 things right now. Like this video to align your energy with this divine revelation. Subscribe to our sacred community as we journey together toward 100,000 chosen vessels. Leave a comment with the number 777 to declare to the spiritual realm that you are stepping fully into your divine identity as a chosen one. This isn't the end of your journey. It's only the beginning. And I'll be here to guide you through every step of what comes next.